Come and meet me face to face. I'll eat Froch alive and I'll eat Bellew alive. And by the way, Bellew...
John Fury just crossed a line that has the entire boxing world questioning if he's lost his damn mind. The airport confrontation with Carl Froch wasn't just heated words between two passionate boxing personalities. This was a full-blown public meltdown that had security scrambling and witnesses pulling out their phones expecting to see punches thrown at any second. Picture this. You're walking through the airport, maybe grabbing a coffee before your flight, when suddenly you hear shouting. You look over and see John Fury, red-faced and aggressive, getting right up in Carl Froch's face like he's ready to throw down right there next to the departure gates. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Froch, the former world champion who's been in wars with the best fighters on the planet, isn't backing down an inch. Both men have their entourages behind them, and you can see in everyone's eyes that this situation is about to explode into something nobody can control.
Fuck off.
But here's where John Fury completely loses the plot. Instead of walking away like any reasonable person would do, he doubles down harder than a drunk gambler at a Vegas blackjack table. The man is standing there in the middle of a crowded airport, throwing threats around like he's untouchable. You've got to understand something about John Fury. This isn't his first rodeo when it comes to public confrontations. The guy has built his entire persona around being the loudest, most intimidating voice in any room he enters. But this time feels different. This time there's a desperation in his voice, like he's trying to convince himself as much as everyone else that he's still the alpha dog. He's projecting this image of absolute confidence, telling anyone within earshot that Carl Froch doesn't intimidate him one bit. The problem is, when you have to keep saying how tough you are, people start wondering if you're trying to convince yourself more than anyone else.
I'll let you in first. I'll let you.
Now Carl Froch isn't some random guy off the street who's going to be intimidated by John Fury's theatrics. This is a man who fought in front of 80,000 screaming fans at Wembley Stadium. He's been hit by some of the hardest punchers in super middleweight history and kept coming forward. So when John Fury starts running his mouth, Froch responds with the kind of cold, calculated warning that only comes from someone who's been in real wars. There's no shouting, no dramatic gestures, just a quiet confidence that's somehow more terrifying than all of John's loud threats combined. Froch looks him dead in the eye and makes it crystal clear that if John wants to step up, things won't end well for the Fury patriarch. The way he delivers this warning, you can see John's bravado starting to crack just a little bit. Because deep down, everyone in that airport knows the truth. Carl Froch has actually proven himself in the ring, while John Fury's fighting career is more myth than reality.
Don't come anywhere near me, nowhere in the vicinity within my jab, or you will be getting ironed out. You'll be unconscious. You'll be snoring before you hit the floor. Big John Fury, the bare-knuckle champion, the fighting man. You'll be asleep before you hit the floor. So don't...
And get this, according to witnesses, including Gareth A. Davis, who was right there documenting everything, this confrontation came within seconds of turning into an all-out brawl. We're not talking about just two middle-aged men throwing wild punches. Both entourages were squaring up, voices were getting louder, and you had dozens of people crowding around with their phones out expecting to witness something that would break the internet. The atmosphere was so charged that even the smallest trigger, maybe someone bumping into someone else, maybe one wrong word, could have sparked absolute chaos. Think about the domino effect that would have happened. First it's John and Carl throwing hands, then their teams jump in, then airport security is trying to break up a massive brawl involving 20 people while travelers are running for cover. Thankfully, professional security stepped in fast enough to separate everyone before fists started flying. But multiple witnesses said it was the closest they've ever seen a public confrontation come to exploding into violence without actually crossing that line.
About 25 in each team. There's about 150 international media here as well in the mezzanine floor. It was still dramatic anyway, but thankfully the security did a great job as well and calmed it all down.
But here's what's really wild about John Fury's mindset through all of this. Instead of showing any kind of remorse or acknowledging that maybe threatening someone in an airport wasn't his finest moment, he actually tries to justify the whole thing. He's out here describing his behavior like it's completely normal, like this is just how real men handle their business when someone disrespects them. In his mind, Carl Froch stepped into his space, so everything that happened after that was fair game. The man is literally framing this airport confrontation as routine behavior, like he's just doing what any self-respecting person would do in that situation. To most people watching this unfold, this kind of reaction makes John look completely unhinged. You're supposed to show restraint, especially in public, especially when there are cameras everywhere. But John Fury operates by a different set of rules, and that's exactly what has people questioning whether he's become more of a liability than an asset to his son's career.
Because when I was in amongst them, all I could hear was badness. You know, so at the end of it, some little idiot come forward, I knew he was in my space. He got what he got, and that's the end of it. It happens every other week for me, that.
Now Roman Fury jumps into the conversation trying to defend his grandfather, and honestly, his response might be even more concerning than John's original behavior. Roman's out here acting like people are unfairly targeting the older Fury while completely ignoring all the great things he's done for boxing. But listen to how he's defending him. There's still this aggressive undertone, this suggestion that if Carl Froch wants smoke, there are plenty of people in the Fury camp ready to give it to him. Instead of trying to cool things down or show that the family can handle conflict maturely, Roman's basically escalating the verbal war. He's feeding into this narrative that the Furies are always ready for a fight, always willing to back up their words with action. The problem is, this kind of response makes it look like the entire family operates with the same hot-headed mentality, and that's not a good look when you're trying to be seen as professional athletes and business people.
Bad behavior, Fury team, Fury father. It's problem only.
And then Oaksender Usyk drops a bomb that nobody in the Fury camp wants to hear. The unified heavyweight champion, who's always been respectful and professional throughout his career, points out that all the bad behavior and drama seems to be coming from one side of this equation. He's not getting into the personal beef between John and Carl, but he's making it clear that there's a pattern here, and it's not a good one. When you have someone like Usyk, who's respected throughout the boxing world for his character and professionalism, calling out your conduct, that's a serious problem. He's framing this as a discipline issue, suggesting that the Fury camp needs to get their house in order before they worry about anyone else. This isn't just about one airport confrontation anymore. This is about a reputation for chaos and unprofessional behavior that's starting to affect how people view the entire Fury brand.
He's behaved like a thug in a disgusting manner, and then he's able to just laugh it off and joke it off and say, you know what, anyone comes near me, they're going to get a headbutt. So it's kind of justified what he's done. He's been vindicated for what he's done, as in, yeah, it's okay to go around like that and behave like an imbecile, and then still laugh and joke and still threaten to headbutt me in belly. I've told you what I think about headbutting this.
Carl Froch absolutely unleashes on John Fury's character, and honestly, he's not holding anything back. Business people describes John's behavior as straight-up thuggish, the kind of conduct that has no place in professional boxing. But here's what really gets under Froch's skin. It's not just the aggressive behavior. It's the way John treats the whole situation like a joke afterward. According to Froch, you can't go around making threats and intimidating people, then act like it's all entertainment when people call you out on it. The former world champion is visibly angry as he talks about this, demanding that he and John be kept separated because he doesn't want to deal with that kind of unprofessional nonsense. Froch's argument is that boxing already has enough negative stereotypes, without people like John Fury reinforcing the idea that everyone in the sport is a street thug who can't control their temper. He's fighting for the integrity of boxing as a legitimate sport, and he sees John's behavior as damaging to that cause.
A man's face in front of a hall with over 500 people, what do you expect someone to do? Pushing and shoving, and we all know Big John's quick-tempered, you know what I mean? But he threw the headbutt first, so it is what it is, but I think when you're getting someone's first and you're tolerating them.
Isaac Lowe tries to provide some context for why things escalated so quickly, and his explanation actually makes the situation sound even more dangerous. According to Lowe, when you put John Fury in a face-to-face confrontation in front of hundreds of people, some kind of explosion is almost inevitable. The man has built his reputation on being the most intimidating person in any room, so when someone like Carl Froch refuses to back down, John's entire identity feels threatened. Lowe points out that even minor physical contact, someone pushing or shoving in a heated moment, could trigger a much stronger reaction from John, especially when his reputation is on the line in such a public setting. What's scary about this analysis is that it suggests John Fury might not even be in full control of his own reactions when he feels challenged. If that's true, then putting him in high-pressure public situations is basically playing with fire, and eventually someone's going to get burned.
Within my jab, or you will be getting ironed out. You'll be unconscious. You'll be snoring.
The situation gets even more intense when you realize that even the promoters and officials are genuinely worried about what might happen if these two men end up in the same space again. Eddie Hearn's solution is telling. He wants both John Fury and Carl Froch separated by heavy security at all times during any public appearances. Think about what that means. These are grown men in their 40s and 50s, and the people running boxing events are so concerned about their behavior that they're treating them like they're dangerous criminals who can't be trusted to act professionally. Hearn's not just worried about another verbal confrontation. He's worried about actual violence breaking out if these two get within striking distance of each other. The fact that promoters are having to allocate extra security and plan entire events around keeping two people apart shows just how seriously this situation has escalated beyond normal boxing rivalry.
You honestly think if these two come together like this, well, you know what's going to happen?
So what
I'm going to keep.
But Carl Froch's perspective on the airport confrontation reveals something even darker about what happened that day. According to Froch, this wasn't just heated banter or typical boxing trash talk. This was genuine intimidation designed to make him feel threatened and unsafe. He points out that someone with a weaker mental state might have been seriously affected by John's aggressive behavior and threatening language. Froch specifically mentions references to prison and warning messages, suggesting that John's threats went way beyond anything that could be considered acceptable even in the often aggressive world of boxing promotion. The way Froch describes it, John was using serious intimidation tactics, the kind of psychological pressure that crosses the line from entertainment into actual harassment. This isn't about building excitement for a potential fight. This is about one man trying to genuinely intimidate and frighten another human being in a public space.
Being quiet. You know, if I was a bit of a snowflake, then I'd have been upset, I'd have been offended by it because it was threatening, he was calling it on, and he was saying basically watch your back and you don't want to go back to prison. So he needs to be careful, doesn't he? I mean, he's talking about going back to prison, so he's putting loose.
Frank Warren's reaction to the whole situation might be the most damning of all, because it's coming from someone who's been in boxing promotion for decades and has seen every kind of drama imaginable. Warren expresses genuine discomfort with how the confrontation unfolded, emphasizing that this kind of aggressive behavior is completely unnecessary when you already have a good fight to promote. His perspective as a promoter is crucial here. These confrontations are supposed to build excitement and sell tickets, but what happened at the airport went way beyond that. Instead of controlled promotion that generates positive buzz, this incident created negative publicity that makes the entire sport look unprofessional. Warren's statement suggests that John Fury's behavior actually damaged the sporting image of the event rather than enhancing it, turning what should have been exciting fight promotion into a circus sideshow that reflects poorly on everyone involved.
King of the world. I think he's referring to Tyson Fury. You know, when you have kids, you know, most people, when they want to talk about their children, they might pull their mobile phone out and show a few pictures. Big John just shows his balls. That's where they came from. If there's anyone who needs a Manscaped advert, it's fucking John Fury.
Johnny Nelson offers a different take that's almost more concerning than outright criticism. He suggests that maybe John Fury's actions served their purpose by creating attention and keeping the fight in public discussion. According to this perspective, all publicity is good publicity, and the controversy generated conversation that might not have existed otherwise. But here's the problem with that logic. It implies that the boxing world is okay with genuine intimidation and threatening behavior as long as it sells tickets. Nelson's comment acknowledges that the behavior wasn't genuinely sportsmanlike, but frames it as an acceptable trade-off for generating buzz. This kind of thinking is exactly what's wrong with modern boxing promotion, where the line between entertainment and actual harassment gets blurred in the name of building hype. Critics argue that this approach risks creating a culture where fighters and their families think any behavior is acceptable as long as it generates attention, regardless of who gets hurt in the process.
Watch on fight because I'm quite sure Carl's going to rip the life out of John after today. I think John did a job. John did a job and got the excitement going, got people talking. That's exactly what.
Ade Oladapo's description of John Fury moving directly toward the confrontation reveals something important about his mindset during these heated moments. According to witnesses, there was genuine uncertainty about what John intended to do if he actually reached Carl Froch, and that unpredictability is what made the situation so dangerous. The fact that this moment is being framed as entertainment rather than a serious incident shows how normalized this kind of behavior has become in boxing circles. Press conference drama and public confrontations have increasingly become part of modern boxing promotion. But there's a difference between controlled theater and genuine aggression that could spiral out of control. While some fans see these moments as harmless spectacle that adds excitement to the sport, others are questioning whether we've crossed a line where uncontrolled aggression is being celebrated rather than condemned.
Fury, being John Fury, went straight for him. I'm not quite sure what he was going to do if he got to him, but I guess that was the entertainment from the press conference.
Adam Smith tries to present a more balanced view of the rivalry, suggesting that both John Fury and Carl Froch are just colorful personalities who enjoy expressing controversial opinions. He frames their confrontation as part of boxing's entertainment culture rather than a genuine personal conflict that could turn dangerous. According to this perspective, moments like the airport incident keep fans engaged because the sport has always thrived on strong characters and public debate. Smith argues that boxing history is full of controversial personalities who attracted attention and generated excitement through their outspoken behavior. However, his commentary also includes a subtle warning that such behavior needs to remain within the boundaries of friendly rivalry rather than escalating into genuine hostility. The concern is that while controversial personalities can attract attention and build fan interest, excessive hostility risks damaging the sport's professional image if emotions escalate beyond controlled competition into actual threats and intimidation.
What I do know is that John Fury and Carl Froch on the cobbles will be fun. I think they both have a good fun doing that, but I'm sure it's all fun and games. They like to say what they believe, they like to say something that's controversial, and they're two big characters.
Spencer Oliver reflects on the confrontation by acknowledging how difficult it would be to predict a winner if John Fury and Carl Froch actually faced each other in some kind of physical altercation. The conversation highlights Froch's incredible physical condition, even at 48 years old, suggesting he still carries the competitive edge and technical skills that made him a world champion. Oliver points out that Froch's professional fighting background gives him significant advantages in terms of conditioning, technique, and mental preparation for physical confrontation. The discussion also touches on John Fury's history of extending confrontations toward other boxing legends, adding another layer of controversy to his reputation. This kind of speculation about who would win in a fight reinforces the unpredictable nature of their rivalry, where personal history and fighting reputation create ongoing tension. While fans debate the hypothetical matchup, the discussion itself continues to fuel public curiosity about whether this conflict could ever escalate from verbal confrontation to actual physical violence.
John Fury, Carl Froch, who wins that one?
Difficult one to call, that
Really?
You got to go with a
Really?
Cobra. You got to go with a Cobra, mate.
Really?
The Cobra's dangerous. He's still in shape. 48 years of age.
John's standing over there behind you.
You got to go with John Fury. Yeah, no, it kicked off a little bit. But it wasn't only Carl Froch that he went into either, did he? He actually went into Lennox Lewis as well. He started steaming into Lennox Lewis a little bit, and I go, whoa.
Dave Allen offers perhaps the most honest perspective on the entire situation, acknowledging that he doesn't support John Fury's aggressive behavior while still maintaining personal respect for him as a friend. His statement perfectly captures the complicated relationship many people in the boxing community have with controversial figures like John Fury. Allen's reaction suggests that while the airport incident was professionally unacceptable and reflected poorly on the sport, it's also not entirely surprising given John's well-established pattern of outspoken and confrontational behavior. The comment highlights how some members of the boxing community are willing to separate personal character from professional conduct, maintaining friendships even while criticizing public actions. Allen's honesty about the situation, disapproving of the behavior while not completely writing off the person, reflects the complex reality of dealing with people whose personal loyalty and professional conduct don't always align with acceptable standards.
I'm not saying that I condone that behaviour, because I don't. You can't, it's impossible to. But John is my mate. I've got respect for him. I respect the family. We're cool. So you're never going to hear me say a bad word about it, but at the same time, obviously, no. It's probably not the Steve Bunce thing. I thought, bloody hell. Didn't like it, really.
Liam Goh explains the deeper context behind this rivalry, pointing out that the tension between John Fury and Carl Froch has been building over months and years through public statements, social media exchanges, and verbal confrontations at various boxing events. This wasn't just a random airport encounter. This was the culmination of an ongoing feud that's been simmering beneath the surface of the boxing world for a long time. The discussion even touches on the possibility of turning their rivalry into some kind of exhibition fight, though the financial and logistical challenges remain significant obstacles. John Fury's statement that he would be willing to fight if the money was substantial enough contrasts sharply with Froch's suggestion that any such event should be charity-based rather than a money-making venture. This difference in approach reveals a lot about their motivations and how they view the potential monetization of their conflict.
He was doing that, and Gold and Carl Froch, and I know John Fury doesn't like Carl Froch. Carl Froch mentions him, although I haven't really watched much of Carl Froch's videos lately. But Carl Froch, I know, has mentioned John Fury in the past. He's had a go with John Fury. They actually talked about having an actual, was it an exhibition or a boxing type match? And John Fury, any man, any time, was saying words to the effect of, "Oh, I'll fight you, Carl Froch, but the money has to be right." And Carl Froch basically said, "All right, well, if we arrange payment, it can go to..."
So here's where we stand with this whole mess. The tension between John Fury and Carl Froch has moved way beyond typical boxing rivalry into something that has promoters, fighters, and fans genuinely concerned about where it might lead. If these two ever actually step into a ring together, whether in an official exhibition or some kind of charity event, the psychological warfare and genuine animosity would make it unlike anything we've seen in recent boxing history. Froch brings legitimate world championship experience, technical discipline, and the kind of mental toughness that comes from facing elite competition throughout his career. John Fury relies more on raw aggression, psychological intimidation, and the kind of street fighting mentality that's completely unpredictable in a controlled environment. Many boxing analysts believe Froch's superior conditioning, technical skills, and professional fighting experience would give him significant advantages in any structured competition. However, John Fury's supporters argue that his willingness to cross lines and use psychological pressure makes him dangerous in ways that traditional boxing preparation can't account for. Right now, this feels more like a personal feud that's spiraling out of control than a legitimate sporting rivalry. But boxing history shows us that these kinds of conflicts can suddenly turn into real fights when egos and money get involved. So here's my question for you. If John Fury and Carl Froch actually stepped into a ring together, who do you think has the mental strength and fighting ability to come out on top?